Are we ready? Danielle? We're good? All right. Then we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is the Thursday, March 14, 2017 council meeting for the city of Alburnett at 7 p.m. We have the agenda in front of us. Before we get going, I will go ahead and move Deputy Norman, correct?
Yep.
To the top of the agenda so he can get back on the road. We'll go ahead and acknowledge you at this time.
All right, thank you. We had, for the month, or from 2/14 to 3/14, 43 required hours. We did 98.5, and 27 calls for service. Yep. Thank you. Any questions, concerns?
Thanks.
No?
Thank you, sir. Give council an opportunity to review that. While we're doing that, Deputy, we had our open house this evening. There's quite a bit of popcorn left back there. We make sure you get a little bit for the road. We wouldn't want you to get any little blood sugar or anything this evening. I think there's still some water back there too if you want some, so make sure it gets acknowledged. Again, more than double the hours. Anything of comment, interest here this evening, council? All right, very good. Thank you for attending. We appreciate it. So have a good evening, sir. Okay, with the deputy's report then being entered there for the record, we'll go ahead and go back to the main part of the agenda. Here in the city of Alburnett, for those who haven't attended before, we do the Pledge of Allegiance before we get started. So at this time, we don't have our symbolic flag up, which is fine. I could do the one from the rear. But
I should have it here.
Okay. We'll go ahead and get that up, and then we'll conduct our Pledge of Allegiance. Those in the audience don't have to give the pledge if they don't want to. We will do it as council, though. You're welcome to give it with us. So we'll see here.
Almost there.
Our advances in technology here.
Oh, there it is.
Except it's not there.
Except I gotta get my cursor over there. Oh no.
You want me to use the main one?
No, I got it. It's just a matter of me having a little bit of coordination.
Here, we're getting closer.
It's got to have it more than half on the screen, and then it should go. Oh, forget it.
We'll go ahead and face this way. I'll lead us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Very good. Thank you. All right, we'll go ahead and take our roll call to establish for the record that we have a quorum. City Clerk, would you do that for us, please?
Councilor Henderson?
Here.
Councilor Trump?
Here.
Councilor Sean?
Present.
Councilor Saracen? Here. Councilor Hunter?
Present.
If you let the record reflect, Clerk, that we do have a quorum to conduct business for this evening. You have your agendas in front of you. If you've had an opportunity to review those, if so, I'll ask for a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
So moved.
Moved by Saracen, second by Trump. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. The deputy's report has already been given, so we'll move on to item number 6. This is a public hearing for the FY 2020 City of Alburnett annual budget. We do need to open a public hearing for that purpose, so we'll go ahead and do that at this time. This is the time and place for a public hearing. Anyone wishing to have any comment, you'll have an opportunity to do so in just a moment. If you'd acknowledge the time for the public hearing, were there any written comments submitted for the public hearing this evening?
No, we're not.
No written comments for the public hearing. Anyone wishing to make any comments this evening from the audience reference the public hearing for FY 2020 City of Alburnett budget? Let the record reflect there were no comments from public. At this time, is the council themselves will have an opportunity to make any comments. Is there any comments or in reference to the budget for the annual budget? Okay, very good. My only comment is thank you for everybody that their work that they did on that. So, all right. Let the record reflect that we have held a public hearing on this matter, and there were no objections or comments. All right, with the public hearing being held, we do also have to have a motion for this. The motion is for a resolution 03-2019-1 adopting the FY 2020 City of Alburnett annual budget. You should have that resolution in your packets. If if you would have that.
There's not, it's just the resolution.
There's not a
goes
copy
the
on that
budget.
one?
No, I just entered
Okay, that's
on the
fine.
actual budget.
Then I would entertain a motion for the approval of the resolution 03-2019-1 for the adoption of the FY 2020 budget.
I'll make a motion to
Motion by Shantz,
approve the resolution 3-2019-1, adopting the FY 2020 City of Alburnett annual budget.
motion made by Shantz,
Second.
second by Henderson. Any comments or discussion on that? Okay, hearing none, then we'll go ahead and vote on that. I need that by roll call, please.
Counselor Benson?
Aye.
Counselor Sarahson? Aye. Counselor Sean?
Aye.
Counselor Sean?
Aye.
Counselor Henderson?
Again, enter that for the record, we had a unanimous passing into that. Any other comments or concerns considering the budget? Would you make the proper notification that that was done, please? Thank you. All right, we'll move on to item number 7, which is the mayor's report. I'm going to keep some of my comments brief because I want to make sure council gets to have their comments in here as well. Obviously, we have several thank yous to do this evening. The City Hall project for doing our open house, we've made several improvements to City Hall. I want to thank all the people involved in that. If you had an opportunity to see some of the things that were put together tonight, as well as the slideshow and everything, we obviously need to thank the council members, the public, the city clerk, the public works director, the fire chief, all the people that were involved with making this possible for this evening. So we really appreciate that. One of the main things that we try to do is transparency within our city government and to make sure that everything we also do in expending funds has a public purpose. And much of what was done to make this possible this evening was donated time and funding and things that were outside the scope of, that we could accomplish, but outside some of the scope of expending city dollars. So we got there. I appreciate it. It was a priority for many of the folks you see up here as well as within the city. So thank you so much for that. A little bit later in the agenda, we're going to talk about the new fire station. This particular evening was also to be done in conjunction with the kickoff of the new fire station and getting that process in there as well as the funding piece for that. So thanks so much for all the folks involved in that as well. Again, we'll talk more a little bit later in the process, but I just want to get those comments out. We'll go ahead and start with council reports and comments. We'll start on this end this time. Since Josh always seems to have to go last, we're going to start with him with your report or any comments.
I just want to say thank you to all the community members that came out tonight. That was a great response to the open house. Really glad you could see all the hard work that the folks have done. Thank you to the fire department for being here in full force. That was awesome. Another thank you to the fire department, just again, their responsiveness to situations that arise in our community. I witnessed that today, and just unbelievable response, unbelievable timeliness, and just it was great to see, and really happy to have you guys that close and making sure things are okay around our community. So that's all.
Councilman Trent.
I don't have anything to add in addition to that.
Very good. Councilman Shaw.
I guess I would like to thank John Harry for his time that he's spent working here with us, helping us out on spur-of-the-moment notices on things. And I want to wish him the best of luck on his new endeavor.
Thank you.
Councilman Harrison. I'm sorry, were you done?
I'm done.
Councilman Harrison.
So he's already received accolades from the various boards, but on behalf of the City of Alburnett, I would like to thank Ron Hoover for his service with the EMA and the County 911 Board. He has resigned from those after 30 years of service and representing Alburnett in that capacity as well. So thank you for that. With that said, I've attended budget meetings for both of those, and they were passed. So we'll be moving forward with those. And with Ron's retirement, we would be looking for alternates for both of those committees. So that's the emergency management and the 911 board. If you want to be an alternate for, on behalf of Alburnett, you'd be welcome. And then I was elected secretary for the executive 911 board, so we'll stay engaged in that capacity as well. One other update is something I would like to start working on with city employees and anyone else who's interested, is to propose a debris management plan. So that's coming out of emergency management. They're really pushing for that this year, to have something in place should a tornado or some major disaster hit, that we have a way of handling that debris. They say it can save you a lot of money in the long run, so that your citizens know where to put things. We can have contracts in place with different haulers and things like that, and really help ourselves out in the long run.
You'll be point of contact for that for the city?
Yes, so I've received a template from the EMA. We'll be working through that, and they've also volunteered themselves as resources to assist.
Very good. We'll get something out on that with social media as well. Yeah, okay, very good.
That's all I have.
Very good. Councilman Menson?
Nothing to add.
All right. Okay, again, I wanted to get those comments out there. I didn't want to step on anybody else's there. As far as the acknowledgement for John Airy, and this is the time where we did want to officially acknowledge him as the city as well. So John started with the city in 2015. He has worked in the capacity as working with maintenance with our director, Guy Trimble. He has done an excellent job. In a moment, I'll ask for Guy's comments as well on that, and then we're going to officially acknowledge him for his work. John doesn't leave us completely. He's going to be around for a while yet, kind of in ramping that down. And then later on in the agenda, we'll talk about what we're going to do for that replacement process and how that's going to work. But as part of that acknowledgement, we do have a little something for you. Now, that's not for departing. I'll talk about what that's for in a moment. But any comments from you concerning John?
Yes, I just want to tell him thank you, and it's been incredibly easy for me to have him here to just put the job out there, and he got it done. So he's going to be very difficult to be replaced, and I appreciate everything. Even the 911 calls when you should have been going somewhere else, and et cetera. So thank you very much.
Thank you,
Awesome.
good. Been good.
Which brings us to the 911 calls where you should have been going somewhere else. It's my understanding, I was at work myself at the time, but it's my understanding that during the, you and Brev, I believe, were headed to Des Moines. You were on your way, and we had a city emergency, and both of you, you had to turn around, you kind of drug her with you.
She didn't have a choice.
Yeah, so, but you did come back and handle a city emergency for us here in town. I also understand that you'd already purchased your tickets for the event in Des Moines and so on and so forth. So on behalf of myself and council and the city and the employees here who very much appreciate the work you do, we did get you a gift certificate to try to make up for that a little bit. It says 25 to 100, but I assure you it's on the low end.
That's fair, thank you.
And it's for steak. Being a cattle guy, we knew you'd appreciate that. So,
Everybody-
anyway, you can go ahead and come on up and receive that if you want. I want to make sure that you got that, and you'll get a picture for us so we can make sure that. We'll make sure that we also acknowledge your time here, so, with his card. So, we do appreciate everything that you've done, so there you go. I know it doesn't take the sting out of missing the boys playing, but we do appreciate it very much. Thank you, Joe.
We got home, and my wife was going through Dish, and we actually found the channel it was on, and she recorded it. So I did get to kind of see it in the end.
Yeah.
But no, thank you all. You've all been very good to me. Been good working for Guy, great working with Danielle, of course, and I thank you all very much. Council's always been good to me, and I've enjoyed my time here. So, and I'll linger around for a little bit so they can help with the transition and that stuff. But
Don't worry, if we need you, we'll be calling.
yeah, absolutely. I told Guy it's how
we're not
I'm
proud.
moving to Vegas. So, even though that is a tempting offer sometimes, but so I will be around.
You answer your phone, you're fair game.
Yeah, that's right.
Very good. Thank you again.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go ahead and move on to citizen comments. We have two types of comments here in the city of Alburnett. One of them being comments for agenda items and the non-agenda items, and we break them into those two sections. So the first set of comments is for agenda items. If you wish to say anything about an item on the agenda, this is the time to do so. If you want to do that, just state your name and address clearly for the record, and you have up to 5 minutes to make any comments to council. So having said that, does anyone wish to make any comments concerning agenda items? Okay, very good. Hearing none, then we'll move on to non-agenda items. Again, this is something that wouldn't be on the agenda, but you just wish to speak to council and make any comments. So again, if you wish to do that, this is the time and place to do it. You would just state your name and address cleared for the record, and you have up to 5 minutes to say anything you'd like to, or any comments to the council. Anyone in the audience wish to say anything concerning non-agenda items? Okay, very good. Hearing no citizen comments, we'll move on to item number 10, which is written reports. The first one on the written reports is from the fire department. Chief Graham has submitted his written report. We've all had an opportunity to review that. I'll go ahead and acknowledge Chief Graham and have him state any additional ones. I know he had a couple calls today, so see if there's any additional comments you'd like to make at this time.
The only thing I got is we had a house fire last week, and I called Guy to come from down the country, help sand the road. It was pretty slick, and he was right there in a heartbeat. I just want to thank him, let everybody know that he did a great job. He didn't have to come out and do it, but he did. So, thank you.
Anytime.
Any comments for the fire chief and council?
Steve, have you thought about having an open house down there to show everybody the cramped conditions in it? You've got this much space between the back bumper, all one of the trucks.
It floated around tonight. I mean, we do have our fundraisers, but all the trucks are pulled out, so it doesn't really show how tight nothing is, but we could probably do something.
I just thought maybe that would help in our endeavor to fundraise.
Yeah.
Or is there a way to, I know everything's out of there during the fundraiser, but is there a way to place something, that far from the wall and say, this is how cramped it really truly is?
Probably good. I mean,
Just
we
like-
do have, like, the computer ring, they have pictures of it and stuff. I mean, we could put it up on the monitor or something down there.
And the media did a good job today showing how it was acknowledged as well, but definitely maybe something we can either work into one of the next events or put something together to assist you in that as well. So.
Yep.
Other comments for the fire chief? All right, very good. Then we'll go ahead and move on to item B, which is the Public Works report. It's also submitted in your packet. We've had an opportunity to review that, other than many accolades, and thank you for all the work you've done through the cold weather here. Is there any other comments that we would have either from Public Works Director or Council?
The only update is the water tower leak is fixed. It was very minor, as I suspected, just had to get through the ice to get to it, and it just, no problem. I won't bother you with the explanation unless you want it later, but it's fixed. So, and our roads are in rough shape after the winter. That'll be a target area over the next few weeks.
Comments from Council?
Are you gonna try to patch Roosevelt? I see the,
Yeah, we're all the way through the chip seal. We're gonna have to do something.
I know,
There's
I
probably
know.
gonna have to be a temporary, but then some of those holes will get fixed when we do the culvert. So it's a catch-22 down there. In some places, other places, yes, we'll pothole fill and see how things go as the frost comes out, et cetera.
I see that you wanna put hot mix down.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
good idea. Make sure you put oil down first.
Yeah.
Or it won't do anything.
Yeah, gotcha.
And I know it's not gonna happen, but
I may
see if it's
just,
dry.
well, you're right, and I may call and see what the cost would be to have Kleesner or someone do that versus me trying to do it myself, especially now with less manpower, so. No problem.
Very good, then we'll move on to the city clerk's report. Again, this is also in your packet. We've had an opportunity to review that as well. Go ahead and turn the report over to our city clerk. Danielle, do you have anything else to add to that?
Just on the training, I had listed one of the training sessions is scheduled for the next council meeting, so I will not be present at the April council meeting unless we change the date.
Well, I know somebody that can be acting clerk. That has some experience of that in the past. Okay, very good. So you would not be at the April meeting for training. Any questions or comments from council on the clerk's report? All right, very good. We'll move on to item number 11, approval of consent agenda. Has there been any changes or additions to the consent agenda as submitted?
No.
All right, no changes to the list of claims for the consent agenda. The first item too, on the council minutes and as well as the treasurer's reports. With no changes to that, I'd seek a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
So moved.
Moved by Saracen,
Second.
second by Menson. Any comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Consent agenda is approved. That takes us on to item number 12, new business, the public works staffing position. We'll go ahead and acknowledge the Public Works Director. This is in reference, of course, to what we just talked about with John Airy's departure. I believe this is something that we're probably not going to post to the public, not only because of the slower time of year and with you graciously staying on for a little bit as we transition. So I think that we're probably looking at leaving you as the point of contact on this and making a recommendation to council, but go ahead and give us whatever your thoughts are on that.
I guess I'm hoping now that you all know word of mouth and some very maybe local advertising, maybe just some signs around town. Our ordinance states that Public Works has to live within 10 minutes, so to advertise broadly is going to create a lot of applicants that we have to sort through. So part of what made this so easy the last time was John was right here and he needed the work and it was the right amount and the right time. And I'm not saying that'll happen again, but it's worth exploring, you know, to see if we can find someone local just by word of mouth and local advertising. I'd like to pursue it that way before we reach out more broadly, so we don't have to sort as much, I guess. So make an attempt. So if you all know anyone that could use some part-time work.
Comments from council or any concerns on the not advertising and letting Guy take the lead on this and make a recommendation back to us, or how do you want to?
Have we reviewed the job description for this position?
It was updated at the time, Guy's was updated. Provide either an electronic version to council on that or whatever, do it, that same thing with the base wages. Any questions or concerns from council on this?
I guess as we get closer, I'd like to have a discussion on the number of hours. I mean, we were fortunate with John in that he's flexible. He has other things and, you know, he was just amazing to work with. But anyone else, I don't know if they'll have be able to afford that. So we may have to define some more set hours. And I think that's going to be a discussion that will have to be.
Totally agree.
Other questions or comments? We'll go ahead and move on to item number 13, new business. This is the new fire station. Discuss contract with architectural engineering firms and possible motions for the, I'll go ahead and give a quick recap for the folks in the audience that may not know what this is concerning if you haven't been following it. In short, at the beginning of last year, or within the first 4 or 5 months or so, this council knew that we were committed to building a new fire station. We'd released a request for proposals, an RFP. That process included what we were looking for, which included architectural and consulting services as well as engineering. So we knew that we wanted services to be able to come in and start us out, assist us through bidding and construction, basically up to the point where we cut the ribbon and walked into the new fire station. 6 companies responded to that. We reviewed those. We took the top 3. We went through an interview process and kind of refined what we were looking for. That process took us down to a single company. We went into final negotiations with them, and we were at the point where we're ready to sign a contract with that company. Shortly at the end of this, and after all comments are made, we'll be seeking a motion to have the authority to sign that contract. That contract, after we had an opportunity to review it, and by we, not only the council, but also the fire department and their folks, as well as the city departments and the city's legal department. So it's been thoroughly gone through. Have had a chance to review that, and we've hit a point now where we're ready to sign that. So that's kind of some of the history here. I'll let the council or the fire chief or whoever make any comments as to where we are with the particular company that we're looking at, which is MSA, MGA, however you want to look at it. It's a combination of architectural and engineering. So any comments from council before we move forward to a motion? I failed to write it down. Can we give for the record, can we give the exact dollar figure for the architectural fees? I believe it's somewhere around 70, 80, something like that.
Yeah, 70-some, for right now.
He'll get that exact dollar figure so we have it for the record. Again, the dollar figure that will be proposed tonight is for contractual services for the architectural fees. When we talk about the fire station itself, the proposed budget for that, the budgetary proposal for the new fire station, we're targeting around $650,000 for that as well. So we won't know that exact figure. The estimated timeline for the fire department is around 18 months. So it's difficult for us to project exactly what those costs are going to be until we sit down with the company, look exactly at what the floor plan is going to be, and then get the bid specifications at the time of the bid. Because it's an 18-month project, it will literally won't be breaking ground until next year. We'll be moving dirt and doing things, a lot of things this year, as well as the bidding process. But to actually have those figures of what costs are going to be, it's hard to project an exact figure. I apologize for not having this number ready. That was my fault. I was supposed to have it written down.
I know the engineering portion was 19,000 and change, and the architect's portion was right around 55,000. I know I've got it here too.
Okay, all right. And it's been sent out as well. I mean, it was in the review itself, so. Having said that, at the completion of our reviews and with the dollar figures, is there any comments from what I've said now from council?
I guess the only comment that I have is that I feel that we should have a positive or a design we want right out of the chute. Because every time we make a change, once this gets started, it's going to cost money.
Yes, I agree.
And so we need to make sure that we're getting just exactly what we want.
Yep. In those initial meetings with the architectural group, we'll get those plans locked in, and we'll get them available and make them available on social media, the web or whatever, to the folks out there so they know exactly what we're building, the location, what it's going to look like. And a big portion of this, which we'll talk about after we continue on with our motion, is the donation portion of it and the fundraising portion. And I think it's going to be hard for us to say, you know, donate, help us out with this, because a good portion of this is going to be donated funds without an exact plan. I would agree with that. Do we have that?
The architectural portion is 55,250.
Okay, so architectural portion, 55,250.
Yep. And I gotta find I know it's just a little over 19,000 for the MSA, but I gotta find it.
Okay, that's fine, 19,000 for this. I think that is correct. It's in that Exhibit B.
Yeah. There it is. Got it.
I forget the page that it's on, but it's acknowledged there as well as that single proposal.
Mr. Mayor, the architect's role, they're gonna oversee the entire project, correct?
Yeah, they're gonna,
not just coming in from a design and
in
then stepping
conjunction with the engineering, but they kind of bid it together. But that architectural portion is the first part for the design work, putting everything together and everything. Then they will work in conjunction with the engineering portion and consulting to do the actual bid. Once that bid goes out, based upon what we determine we want through with the fire department, and say, this is the actual plan, that bid will go out and then that cost will come back and we'll have actuals for it. It's impossible to say exactly what that cost is going to be until that bid is done. They assist us with that bid process as well. They've done it many times. This group has built more than one fire department in Iowa. So we can project what we think that cost is going to be based upon size, shape, and costs of other fire departments of similar size, but we just can't say for sure what it's going to be until we actually bid it.
Do they oversee any of the construction phases? Or does that fall back to us?
It's part of the whole scope of our project, so they'll be with us from start to finish up into the point where we actually walk in the building. Well, I don't necessarily want to hold anyone up. While they're doing that, let's go ahead and move on to the fundraising portion, which I want to go ahead and acknowledge tonight. I think it's an important piece, so I've incorporated it into our public meeting this evening, just so the folks know what's going on. If you had an opportunity to see, there was a story done earlier today. The chief was good enough to have his folks there. It was a nice piece done by KCRG for the acknowledgement of the building of the new fire station. Once we'll deal with the approval of this tonight. Chief, like I said before, for us to reach out to folks and say, we'd like to have you donate and things like that, I think it's incumbent upon us also to get the project started right. If you want to go ahead and come up here, I'm going to do two things. Danielle will get us a photo as well, but I'd like to go ahead and kick off the fundraising if you don't mind. This is a check for $500 on behalf of myself, council, just to get things going with the fundraising. Also, we'll get the GoFundMe link up there in a minute, but we'll go ahead and say thanks. We appreciate everything you're doing. I know it's just a drop in the bucket maybe to what you're gonna get out there for funding, but we want to make sure that that gets you going. That gets you going. Also, I'm going to turn it over to the chief here in a minute to talk a little bit more about the funding, but the GoFundMe page, or the gofundme.com/Alburnett Fire Station, is up and running. That's our announcement for this evening. Folks can go out there and make a donation, but just know that that portion, even though it's through your 501c3, right, your charitable donation, it does work. It gives you a receipt back. But GoFundMe does take a small portion of the funds for that. So why don't you kind of explain the difference in the preferred method for how that would work?
Right now, we prefer to either send a check or find a firefighter and give them a check. PO box for the fire department's $328. If it's over $100, we'll get a tax slip from our guy. And that's the preferred method, but if you want to do GoFundMe, that's fine too. But any of us be willing to.
If we could take one from the city could too. You could also work through the city or any of those folks too. Yeah. So, and then one second. And then also we have another event coming up here real soon. It was in the newsletter for your. I want you to talk a little bit about your event coming up as well.
April 6th, we're doing the fire grill at the fire station. It's from 4 to 7. We cook hot dogs and burgers and brats. So we'll see everybody there.
Great. All right. Did you?
19,600 is the.
Thank you, Chief.
Yep.
19,600.
Yes.
Okay, and we can talk about fundraising a little bit more in a second, but all right, so $55,250 for the architectural services, $19,600 for the other portion, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, having those figures then, I would entertain a motion to give the mayor authority to sign a contract with MGA for the $55,250 and the $19,600 to go ahead and start the building of the fire station process.
Just to be clear, the MSA will bill us separately, but Martin Gardner runs the show, so it would be two entities, but Martin Gardner runs it all. So.
Very good.
I make a motion that we sign the contract once it's available.
Very good. Motion by Saracen. Second by Trum. Any other comments? I'll need this by roll call as well.
Counselor Henderson?
Aye.
Counselor Trump?
Yes.
Counselor Sean?
Aye.
Counselor Saracen?
Aye.
Counselor Henderson?
Aye.
Very good, thank you. It was unanimous. You got your fire station. So we're good to go there. Any other?
Need funds first.
We're good with the contract. We're committed either way. You had a comment, ma'am?
Yes, I'm the town clerk for Otter Creek Township,
Yes.
and we have in the past said that when the groundbreaking occurs, the township will pay $50,000.
Oh, very good.
On the end, when it's completed, another $50,000.
So 50 up front and 50 at the completion of the project. Very good.
Yes, yes.
Well, that's more than generous, and we appreciate that. Very good, thank you. I know we've had a lot of talk, both from the council and to the folks and with the fire chief that said, we got a lot of people sitting out there ready to donate and to see this project completed, but they they want to see the acknowledgement that we're moving forward and that we're ready to start moving earth. So you'll see that yet this year. So we'll start.
Get your 50,000.
You'll see that as it's here. Just a little bit about the timeline, we'll get that contract signed as soon as possible, and then that's when the fire folks, they have their own team put together. A lot of knowledge and experience out of the fire department coming forward on that, and we'll get that design out of what the plans look like in the building and so on and so forth, and the actual placement on the ground out there. So it'll come around very quickly. The bidding process is literally, because of the time it goes out to the time it comes back, that's what'll eat up most of our prime building time this year, just because of that process, which is why we will actually start building the facility next year. But we'll get a lot done this year, and we'll get there, so. Alrighty, very good. Reference to fundraising then, again, we don't have the link up there, but we're going to have that available on our social media and on our website. So again, the GoFundMe page, like the chief said, large dollar figures, again, we lose a percentage of it, so we prefer those go directly to the sources such as the fire department or the city. Again, they are 501c3s for their association. Those are tax deductible. And for the GoFundMe page, folks that are outside the area or just want to donate or whatever, they can do it that way, so very good. Comments then from any council members concerning the fire department or donations or anything?
Have you guys thought anything about hiring somebody to help donate, run your fundraising?
Oh, your fundraising campaign or anything?
Campaign.
No, not really.
I know there's some people that do that, and they charge anywhere from 1% to 5% for doing that, so that's something to look into, I think.
Other comments? All right. Well, we'll go from there. We'll see how things are going. It may be something we have to revisit going down the road, and we'll definitely look at keeping the project alive and doing something, maybe even on a monthly basis of acknowledging or keeping something going. We've got all summer to get going. And thank you again. Very good. I think Ron Hoover, did you have something to say?
No.
All right. I couldn't remember. So that was the only other comments, even from the.
I'm curious, where's the exact location between Josh's house and whatever that lift station?
We're going to
wherever
take
it
part
is?
of Josh's property, actually. Believe it or not, most of the proposals did take his whole backyard, but going west out of town on Roosevelt, as soon as you get west of Longworth, they're right, literally behind Josh's house.
Where the
Those,
dirt pile is? Is
Yeah.
that the location?
yeah,
Probably not quite that far west.
yeah,
Closer to
between there and the
Josh's
pump house is our ground, but it'll be more towards the eastern side because of the way we've got it set up, so. Think of between, with Willow is there, Willow and Roosevelt, between those two, closer to Josh's house.
You're gonna like
When
this
we do
island.
construction, we told them they could put the porta potties in Josh's backyard.
Oh, that's fun.
Any other questions? All right, very good. All right, so that wraps us up from old business from 13. I don't think I have anything else. Closing comments from council then.
Nothing additional.
No. Joe?
Nothing?
No? Danielle? And Chief? All right, very good. Having no other closing comments, again, I appreciate everyone being here this evening. Given that, I would seek a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Move from Minson,
Second.
second by Trum. All those, any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Everybody, thanks for coming. I would ask that the council remain, as well as city staff. We need to get a